everyone, and welcome back to Pima Voices. My name is Savannah, and I'll be your host. Today, I'm sitting down with Jessica Cox, who is the first armless pilot and motivational speaker, and we are going to be discussing and exploring the world of aviation and everything that brought her to that point of being the world's first armless pilot. So how are you today, Jessica?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming in. And like I said, I saw your story with PCC TV Studio, which we're in today, a while back. And I was like, it would be really great to get the chance to actually sit down and talk to her about her journey and everything. So thank you for coming in today and taking that time to do so.
Well, it's awesome to be here. I feel very grateful for what Pima Aviation Technology did for me back when you first heard my story. And so to be sitting down here to again reiterate my gratitude for that. And of course, I took classes years ago towards my degree as well.
That's great. So let's go ahead and dive in. So for those people who don't know who Jessica Cox is, why don't you give us a little background information on who you are and how you came to be the person you are today?
Well, I graduated from Pima and U of A years ago, and I got a degree in psychology and it was a Bachelor of Science in Psychology. So I took all the science classes, and then I got a minor in communication and decided to just launch from there as a motivational speaker once I graduated, and I did. And this unique opportunity crossed my path. I was presented with the opportunity to go flying. I'd never been in a small airplane my entire life, and I thought, well, I'm not as excited as some people might be because it's actually terrifying, the thought of losing contact with the ground. But I wanted to conquer my fear because as a motivational speaker, and that's what I launched myself as an entrepreneur with a business in motivational speaking, I really needed to be that example to people that you shouldn't let fear stand in the way of an opportunity. So I said, okay, well, I will become the world's first and currently the only armless pilot in aviation. And it would be a wonderful story to tell people to not let fear stand in the way of any opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, that's truly amazing. I was watching your documentary on Amazon, and I noticed one of the things you say is you removed "I can't" from your vocabulary. And there's nothing that you can't do, essentially. And, you talk about in the sense of, maybe your hardest struggle was people like accepting you into society and maybe looking at you different, but you're not really that different. You can do anything that anyone else can. And like you said, like being in a plane is scary. Like I thought it was interesting that you said you had this fear of flying. But your dad had this, has this love for aviation. And so he was like, yeah, she'll do that. And so I was like, but she's scared of flying. And, that makes sense of wanting to overcome that fear, especially in your role of motivational speaking, to show that example and lead by example that fear isn't going to stop you from doing something, anything. And the fact that you can fly a plane, I don't think I could ever fly a plane. I'm too scared to do that. I think being in a tiny little space like that is terrifying. Like you said, losing contact with the ground is terrifying. And, you worked recently a few years back with the aviation technology program here at the college to help you with the simulation for your, I forget what it's called, the Impossible Airplane Project. Is that correct?
Yes. They did some amazing work over there. So I was given a basically erect airplane fuselage, and it was out of a junkyard. And just for a reference, the pilots who were in that plane survived. So it was just an incident that happened. It didn't injure anyone. And we took this airplane and we're like, well, what can we do? Can we create this into a simulator? Well, it needed a lot of work. It looked like a hunk of junk. And we brought it to Pima Aviation Technology, and the team over there transformed this plane to make it look like an actual airplane instead of just a piece of metal with all these, bent pieces and such. And they really helped us because we needed to start somewhere with this impossible airplane project. And we started with a simulator. Having the simulator allowed us to essentially simulate what the plane would look like, how it needed to be modified, and how it would actually fly and all that. So we needed this as kind of like our prototype as like a start. And they helped us out, and we still have it. We have to move it around in a trailer because it doesn't actually fly. But it's just this wonderful testament of the amazing work they do over at Pima Aviation Technology and how they did that in such a short period of time. I'm so grateful for that.
Yeah, that's just really cool that that's even able to happen. And yeah, like you said, just the amazing things that go on at that program is wild. To me, I'm always like mind blown by what goes on there. And we were just talking a little bit ago about how they opened the expansion with their second hangar, and that program is continuously growing, it's continuously evolving, and it's a one of its kind in Southern Arizona. So the fact that you were able to partner and kind of start that is really cool, because I know you're still working on the whole Impossible Airplane project, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And how's that going?
Well, I have been flying for 15 years for reference. I am the first armless pilot, and I fly with just my feet on a standard airplane. Basically, it's called an air coupe airplane. It has not been modified or designed for me to fly it. I am certified by the Federal Aviation Administration to fly an unmodified air coupe airplane. And so we decided to take it to the next level. This plane that I've been flying is more of a plane you just take it around, neighboring airports. You don't take it across country or across the ocean.
Okay, yeah.
So we wanted to take it to the next level and make a plane that's more functional, more realistic for taking off, and also pursuing the message that disability doesn't mean inability, and to take children with disabilities up and fly them and just forever change their life with that experience, seeing the first armless pilot fly a plane, knowing that they can do anything.
Yeah.
Because the world continues to tell people with disabilities that you can't. And we need to be the voice that is against that and saying, you can, and nothing should stop you. And so we are really excited about building this plane. It has been a 4-year journey, actually 5 years from when we first announced it. And it won't be finished until the end of this year.
Oh, but that's going to come so fast.
You're right. Actually, you have a good point. It will come quickly, and we need to just make sure that we have everything in order to make this a huge impact on the world. But we need people to help us.
Yeah.
Because it's not cheap to build a plane. Everyone involved is a volunteer. But obviously, there's a lot of things that need to be paid for to finish the thing, as well as continue the mission of what we're going to do. And the whole point is to have this plane available so that we can do programs for children with disabilities.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's truly transformational. I mean, we talk a lot about, like, within our office at the foundation and with the college, how, like, there's always that one moment that can truly transform someone's lives, or that one interaction. And I feel like with you, it was meeting Elizabeth, right? Like, seeing someone else who's just like you, have everyday life with her baby and everything. And you can do essentially that with your airplane project. And I feel like sometimes just anybody doesn't always like reach for their greatest potential, and you're literally just changing that narrative. Like, anyone can reach their greatest potential, and especially like disability or not, you can do what you set your mind to, and that's you. And I think that's so great, because not always we don't see such greatness in the world, and showing that anyone can essentially do anything. I think there's a lot of times where we as people, we see our weaknesses rather than our strengths. And you have turned into the sense of like, no, we all have strengths that we can pull from, that we can do, and become the world's first armless pilot, and only armless pilot. And that's a really inspiring story. And I know you started your Right-Footed Foundation with all this messaging as well. And you've made it like your life's mission, essentially, to showcase everything that can be done if you have a disability.
I do love that now I'm able to, through this foundation, it's called Right-Footed Foundation International, reach out to children born without arms all over the world. And to their parents who are unsure, how do I teach my child to be independent without arms? And there is a way. You have to get creative. You have to sometimes go about it in a different approach. But if you are creative enough and you are persistent enough, solutions are out there, and they're out there all over the place. And so I'm providing that solution for many of the parents, teachers, and therapists of children without arms who maybe don't know where to turn, because it's very rare to be born without both arms or to have lost arms. So it's not like it's someone you can run into if you're, at your school or something like that. So it's definitely wonderful to be that resource for them, to give them that support, something that doesn't exist for children. And we will continue to do this as long as we can.
And then with your message of like resilience, what do you think is one key lesson that you hope people take away from your talks when you're engaging with people all around the world, essentially?
I think people have to realize what potential they have and to recognize that we all have a unique lens that we live our life through. And we can really change that and see what is possible, and to see that, we can be grateful, and not only be grateful, but we can be creative in how we come up with solutions.
Yeah, no, I like that. That's perfect. That's a really great way to say that. And basically, let's tie it back to like the airplane project. If there's a way that someone wanted to get involved and like learn more about what you do and that whole project, how can they do so?
I welcome anyone to go to theimpossibleairplane.com and check it out. Learn a little bit about this project and how it's going to be the first ever of its kind in aviation history. And please get involved, because we need support. We need financial support to push this forward, and we need ideas. We are seeking out as many people from, especially here in the community of Tucson, because we will be representing Tucson around the world with this unique airplane.
Yeah, you're definitely leaving your mark in history, I can say for sure. And I feel like it would be wonderful if at some point it kind of circles back in this airplane project and you get more and more, and it could somehow also be tied, and they can have it at the Aviation Technology Center at Pima. People can come to that program, learn to fly that plane and everything. And I think that would be a really like nice full circle moment with that project as well. And like I said, you're leaving your mark on history, and I think that's really cool. So you said it was theimpossibleairplaneproject.com. Speaking of that as well, with everything, with that project, with your advocacy work, with your documentary, is there anything like from your experience or moment that's been especially meaningful to you that you can then share with everyone else that may relate to that, and then know they can learn a lesson from that?
I think for me, there have been so many moments. I've traveled to 28 countries around the world as a speaker, and every experience presents a new encounter or opportunity. One of those opportunities that I think that I need to share, because it was one of the memorable ones, was when I was in the middle of Ghana, Africa. And I was there at the capital in Accra, and I was doing a presentation at this big auditorium, and there I was waiting in the green room until I was called up on stage. And in comes this woman into the green room, and I was not expecting her. She somehow managed to make her way to the back of the stage and into the green room. And in she came, and she didn't have arms like myself. And she was a little bit shorter in stature. And I remember seeing her, and I'm like, wow, who is this very determined woman to get back here? And she says, she shares with me about how much she appreciates my visiting her home country. She was also born without arms, but her beginning of life wasn't as positive as mine was because of the stigma of disability. And she was essentially told by her community, her mother was told to drop her off in the middle of the wilderness, essentially abandoning her, and that would lead to her death, because there's so much stigma about disability. And so then her father left her mother, but her mother decided to keep her and raise her and keep her in hiding. So she kept her at home. Some wonderful people came into her life, some passerbys, some foreigners came through her hometown and decided to help give her an education. They gave her an education, and despite what the community was saying about the family, and now she is a first grade teacher.
Oh, wow.
And the kids love her. She's a favorite at the school. But that belief from these strangers that she could do more, and breaking past the stigma of disability, gave this wonderful woman a chance to now change the lives of so many other children she's teaching.
That's amazing.
If we just, people with disabilities need to have the opportunity and the chance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not like, everyone should be given the opportunity, male, female, doesn't matter, disability, to be truly who they are. And, I think in society, things are slightly changing. People are more understanding or wanting to learn more. And we see a lot of things like shifting, but there's still a lot of like stigma with certain topics of discussion, and like, with disabilities, that's like a big one. And I think within education too, it's nice to see. I mean, I think of your motivational speeches as like an educational platform as well. In the sense of like, it's not just for people with disabilities, but it's for the rest of society to say, hey, like, we are people just like you. We may have a disability, but we're not any different. And so I think that's a really powerful message, and I don't think it's heard enough. So I love that you were able to touch one person's life, and then they can continue that message, and then they can touch another person's life and continue that message. So it's just like continuous effect. And I'm sure that's got to be a truly amazing feeling that, like, you can continue sharing that message and reaching hundreds, if not thousands of people every single day, just from you taking that moment to realize once you were done with school at U of A that you wanted to be a motivational speaker.
Yes, it's been such a gift, and we'll continue to do this. I head off to another country in July, and it's just, if anyone needs a speaker, come reach out to me at jessicacox.com.
That's amazing. Well, I really love hearing everything that you have to say. I love hearing about the Impossible Airplane Project. I love that the aviation technology program was able to kind of help you with that. I know you were able to premiere that project at the rodeo in 2023, being the Grand Marshal. And I can't wait for the end of the year to sort of see that project come to kind of like its next pit stop, really, and see what comes next. But before we end our session today, was there anything else that you wanted to share with our audience at all?
No, there's a reminder to check out theimpossibleairplane.com, and for speaking inquiries, jessicacox.com.
Well, Jessica, thank you so much for coming in today. I'm really excited, like I said, to see the end of the year, the progress on that. Keep tabs on that. If anyone's interested, again, theimpossibleairplane.com, jessicacox.com, and basically that's how you can learn more about her, about the project. And if you have any questions, you can definitely reach out on those websites. So thank you again for coming in today and sharing your story. I know it was a little bit of time. I'm sure we can keep going on so much longer. But thank you. This was really great. And I was excited to meet you today and just hear a little bit more in person and just hear you speak and share your wisdom.
Thank you.
Well, thank you everyone for tuning in to today's episode, and I will see you next week. Thank you.